Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR522. It's NXT Battleground. I'm not alone. Of a pleasure to be joined by a resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Oh man, it's going good. Excited to be here in NXT. Doing another update. We got so much going on, just in wrestling in general right now. It's almost hard. It's getting harder to keep up with everything. But so mind you, just like I'm sure the viewers or the listeners are doing, I use this to help me keep up. It's a good thing, a good way to work and at the same time keep your mind on what's going on. Like I got a reason to not fall too far behind the same way I hope people doing when they listen to these podcasts, because not only are we reflecting on what's going on, but these podcasts are very useful in my opinion at just keeping us on the right track when it comes to all of the stuff that's going on, especially right now, because I guess in America they know that kids are out of school in the summer, so just wrestling every week it feels like a big event, a big event somewhere every week.
I know when people moaned that we weren't doing enough pods, and here we are doing like the fourth one of the month already, or whatever it is. So, and again, like you said, Monty, there's so much going on. Like, hopefully catch up with New Japan next week. Impact TNA show last night. The Clash is on right now. We were talking before we went on air. And again, you're just trying to calm me down, and I appreciate that, partner. And we can try and concentrate on NXT,
Yeah, I'm trying to relax you, man. Let's get on track. Let's not. I don't want your blood pressure to go through the roof during this show, because I know it's already probably raised. But again, we so spoiled, man. And I will say, in a couple of weeks when we do the Clash review, no matter what happens, get ready for a hell of a review. Because either way it go, I think it's gonna be one of the best shows we do. Because just from what I know on predictions, it's gonna be fun.
Well, like we said, today we've got 4 episodes of NXT and, of course, Battleground. So let's get to it. May 21st, the Women's North American title qualifier, Thea Hale versus Fallon Henley. Thea Hale nearly caught Fallon Henley in the Kimura lock, but Henley ducked outside and rammed her rival into the steel barricade. She followed up with Shining Wizard in the ring to take the 3 count, and Jasmine Nix laid out Hale afterwards with a play kick as if things couldn't get worse for her. And again, Monty, with Thea Hale, it's a case of what makes her so unlikable for people to keep turning. And with Fallon Henley, as we mentioned on the last update, the fact is this is her win now from turning heel.
Exactly. It's that stereotypical, especially if you've been a fan of WWE. They tend to do these things, where they try to get the newly turned heel character something at the beginning. We'll see if they continue to latch on and actually allow her to start winning more. We'll see how long it lasts. And I think, to be honest, as much as I do think she's cool and I think she's solid in the ring, she may not be the most interesting, but I do think Fallon is solid in the ring. I think this is their chance, or this is them attempting to give us something to latch on to her now as a character. As for some reason, WWE just tends to give you way more character beats when you're more of a heel character than they do when you're trying to be a good person. So I can't wait to see what happens in that regard. But this is just the beginning, I'm sure. And you're 100% right. Thea Hale, before she even debuts on the main roster, is already feeling Rey Mysterio-ish.
I will say. But really is. And we see Nate Fraser and Axiom agreed to give Stax and Crucifino a title shot after Tony had mentioned a kid. I'm not sure what he was talking about. Wink. So we got NXT titles, Fraser and Axiom versus the Family. A brawl broke out at ringside between No Quarter Catch Crew and the Family. Distraction allowed Fraser to catch Stax for free. Gallows and Anson laid out the champions after the bell. But my question for you, Monty, are Axiom and Fraser talented enough to make this tag division worthwhile? Because the people they got to work with, man, it's tough.
Yeah, man. I think they are. They definitely going to carry the load. I think that's the question. I think that's what we're about to see. We know what they can do with established teams or people who already have a formula. But what can they do against heels who are trying to figure themselves out, or sometimes thrown together teams? I think also what would help is if we don't have angles that's kind of thrown in right before the match, in a sense, to where you kind of have, now I should care about this match a little bit more because you're kind of throwing it in right now. So I do think that would help. The writing in the tag division, in my opinion, needs to be better. We understand NXT, they're going head first into the women, and I love it. But I do think that they're going to have to start, establishing, like you said, more teams, giving teams more to do and actually something to latch on. I know it's only 2 hours of television a week, but I agree. This is going to be the question, the test. We'll see as this reign go on. Will we be able to take anyone even remotely serious in regard, or will they have to keep relying on the main roster team?
And like I said, if Fraser and Axiom can pull it out and actually have great matches, then there will no doubt be tag team of the year. Because if they can do that.
Yeah.
Robert Stone was looking for his next victim. In a backstage interview, Gallus warned everyone that the group was doing whatever was needed to get noticed. And number one contendership for North American title, Wesley versus Josh Briggs versus Joe Coffey. Bafemi joined commentary for this one. He made clear he did not care who won. All three men looked evenly matched until Wolfgang clotheslined Josh Briggs on the floor. Wesley and Joe Coffey then fell onto Briggs and pinned him. NXT General Manager Ava then clarified to Femi that they would defend in the triple threat match at Battleground. The champion did not look pleased. Oba did not want a triple threat match. And when he got it in the end, I'm not the one delivering the news, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to tell him that. And I do want to mention this. This really sucked that Ivar, even though I'm pretty sure for him, I heard he was just had a lot going on, whether or not he's injured or he just needed time off. I don't know. But, it sucks that this couldn't, as much as I don't mind Coffee, Ivar and Oba, man, you know what I'm saying? That would have been pretty cool to throw them in there, but in the triple threat too. But what we got ended up being a positive. We'll talk about that more in a second. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to tell Oba anything that isn't great, or just like, you know what, Oba, you're awesome. You can't do no wrong, brother.
Well, there's like the old wife story, isn't there, about Haku never being fired from WCW because no one had the balls to do it.
Who gonna call that guy?
Literally, Time Warner contract was fine.
Can you imagine him doing like he did Austin when he just sent it in the mail?
Oh my God, you just poor FedEx driver. Anyway, backstage, Inofi and Blade told Reese that they would not be in a corner due to their recent bad luck. They did end up coming to ringside. Let's see how that helps with North American title qualifier Jada Parker versus Brittany Reese. And Reese looked posed to pick up the most important win of her career, but Inofi and Blade seemed to bring the bad luck as their rivals set up Jada Parker to hit the running hip attack to win. Oh, God. Well, Mr. Stone introduced Lexis King's next opponent and possibly Stone's newest client, Dante Chen. A time distraction from Stone allowed Chen to count the combination into a small package for free. Oh, dear God. See if it gets any better. Trick Williams declared he did not assault Noam Dar, saying he does not sneak attack. Jakara Jackson or Mensa both continued to blame him, but Lash Legend told him to stop. Joe Coffey made a surprise appearance to set up Gallus beat down. John Evans trying to make a save, but he and Trick Williams were both beaten. Oh, my dear God. Now, maybe the first two things I might have a little bit of issue, but this one, I mean, and Joe Coffey, Monty, how is he smaller than everyone? Like, if he's smaller than Rey Mysterio, he's got a condition. What the fuck is going on?
He's shrinking. No, I can't explain it, man. All I gotta say is that they must have had what was the general manager of NXT UK? They must have had a guy his size recording NXT UK every week or something, or what the cameramen had to get on their knees to make guys look as big as they seem in NXT UK. Because oh my goodness, like you're 100% right. Like I understand. NXT UK has some, they didn't have huge guys. They weren't where the big boys play, as they used to say about WCW. But at the same time, like Joe Coffey, like you mentioned, it don't matter who they put him next to in NXT. He is significantly smaller. And it also undoes the stockiness that he had. Because I used to think he was so much more stocky than he is, and he just like a guy now. It's just weird.
How is Noam Dar bigger? Like how is that?
Like what happened? Like why does Joe Coffey look like he should have been on 205 Live?
Yeah, well,
explain it.
And again, Gallus working with The Rock does have its positives, So I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's the only reason, but it's a good one. We get Vignette teased that Wendy Chu may be finally return to NXT. Roxanne Perez ran down the women's division in a pre-tape promo. Ava said the Prodigy next opponent will be determined next week. Then we've got Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice versus Natalia and Carmen Petrovic. Queen of Spain's demanded Vice keep the action rolling. Instead, Vice danced as she went for a sharpshooter and got countered. After communication breakdown, Petrovic hit a heart attack with a boat and picked up the pin over Lola Vice. Afterwards, though, Baszler tried to help Vice up. When Vice hit with a roundhouse kick, the Queen of Spain responded with a Kirifuda clutch, and a brawl broke out. The officials tried to separate him. Ava announced they would fight at Battleground, and Baszler made it NXT Underground. Now, Monty, I don't know about you, but I don't think a friendship is that strong if they've already decided on a match type to face each other. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, they already had an idea. I think Shayna secretly, throughout the training or whatever she was doing for the other underground match, Lola had. I think Shayna was already just like, oh, I hate this girl. Like all I need is one reason.
Yeah, shake your ass again. Shake your ass again. Go on.
Just one more. I know you're gonna do it. I'm just waiting on it. But yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I don't mind the angle. It makes logical sense. You could question doing an underground match so soon, right? Not too far after the other one, but with Shayna and her background, it makes sense. It seemed like that's probably where we were heading anyway, and I don't really mind it. I don't mind it. I thought this was logical and a pretty good next step. What I will say is, and again, I'll probably save most of what I want to say about it when we get to the actual match. But man, it's just one thing that I love the fact that when Oscar returns to NXT, she still feels like this bigger than life presence when the women are around, whether it's just in her matches like she had with Roxanne or just even some of the backstage segments she had when she would visit NXT. But I don't know why, but I just don't feel the same way about Shayna when she returns, even though Shayna deserves to probably be, if not more revered, just as revered as Oscar for what she did in NXT. It's just kind of, it's that black and gold NXT revisionist history we kind of get now because Shayna's been on the main roster and they kind of, rebranded what we kind of think of her, I guess. But Shayna was so dominant in NXT. It's always kind of weird to me to see her back down there and kind of reminding me of the main roster version of herself. And it could just be me, but I'll get back into it when we talk about the match.
No, I think you're right. And the other thing about Baszler, and again, they mentioned it on commentary, I think even at Battleground, of saying, like, the only person to make Ronda Rousey tap out. And it makes you think, well, how long ago was that? And when you think it's only like last year, you go,
exactly. What why
happened?
does she? Yeah, like what happened? Like it just doesn't make sense. It just don't, for somebody as dominant and badass she's supposed to be. And I feel like I'm sounding like Jackson because I know Jackson will be screaming right now. She'll be preaching like, yes, preach, Monty. But yes, it's 100% the truth. And I feel like it sticks out even more in NXT. And you know what I mean because when Johnny comes back, he feels like NXT Johnny. When Oscar and some of these others come back, you get those vibes again. But when Shayna, for some reason, she just feels like Shayna, the same Shayna we've been seeing.
Well, and the bonus with Baszler on a card as well, it's a point from Jaxie. So again, really good stuff. Anyway, Logan's ready for the next step. Natty and Carmen had matching outfits, and I think bring a little bit of depth to tag division, which is non-existent at this moment in time in NXT. May 28th, Sexy Red announced that she'd be host of Battleground and showed the Women's North American Championship. Tatum Paxley tried to steal the title, but Michin fought her off. I mean, I have no idea who Sexy Red is, but, I mean, Monty, she seemed all right in passing. I don't want to see out of touch.
Yeah, not only is this could be age related, it's definitely cultural because a lot of the people in my community were very, very happy about this, especially the wrestling fans. And Shawn Michaels and the crew leaned into it. She made like a sample song of Shawn Michaels' theme song of calling herself a sexy girl, and like that went viral not too long ago. And pretty much ever since then, she's been tweeting about NXT, tweeting about Trick Williams, and she's a rapper. And as you can see, what her specialty is, she definitely makes a certain type of music that makes people dance, make you want to move, and you can tell by Booker T's commentary. He was a lot of the fellas enjoy the way she chooses to dance and all that. And again, I think more so it's just more so like one of those situations where a lot of fresh faces who may not even care about wrestling. I've seen it from people in my family who know I like wrestling was hitting me up and like, is this why I see a video of Sexy Red dancing in the middle of the ring or whatever? I'm just like, yeah, it's just one of those things that gets people talking, and it's one of those crossovers that you would never think. It's one of those crossovers you'll never really think that would work. Because like what I know about Sexy Red and what just her content, not really child friendly. It's just something that you don't really think would go.
I mean, again, I don't.
New era, man. I guess.
Look, I don't want to sound out of touch. I definitely would. All right?
No, say what you think.
Let's not.
You definitely would.
Yeah,
agreed. A lot would. Exactly. So that's part of the rollout. If you see what I'm trying to say, that's part of who she is. Sex appeal. Sex is in her name. So yeah. But yeah, did not spend too much time on it. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things that got people talking. And hey, I think it worked. Believe it or not, even if it was, like you said, different for maybe a lot of people out there.
Yeah. Well, we get the Women's North American title qualifier, Michin versus Tatum Paxley. This was back and forth for the HBIC, catching Paxley with defeat. Jada Parker arrived to watch the match closely to a loud Miss Parker chant. Ridge Holland versus Riley Osborne. As we talked about, Ridge really is the Lenny of the story, just waiting for him to accidentally kill Thea by hugging her too hard. Ridge won, but Riley refused to shake hands. Later, Hudson took Osborne aside to talk about the concerns about Holland. And really, in this update, apart from maybe the last episode of NXT, fuck all happened in the development of this story, I don't think.
No, yeah, nothing that I recall major, and nothing really changed. It's pretty much the same situation.
Yeah, Ridge is a bit of a dick. Tell us something we don't know.
Yeah.
Idris Enofi and Malik Blade carried on their bad luck by losing to the Good Brothers. Before their match, Josie challenged Fraser and Axiom to step up and put the titles on the line. What is funny about at least Blade and Enofi have kind of got a story at the moment in time, Monty, but
at least
it ain't looking good. I'm not saying it's Brooks Jensen bad, but we're nearly there.
Again, I always go back to me saying they were going to be tag champions last year because I just thought in the ring they had something there. But I like you said, they looking good. They will. Between the losing streak and the bad luck angle, like I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. I'm thinking they'll break up before they ever do what I said they was going to do. But we'll see. We'll see.
They've not had matching outfits for 2 fucking years, so why would not that makes a tag team? But again,
great point.
Not
a name either. Never came up with a name, that's a good point.
Yeah.
A good point.
Well, anyway, up next, Roxanne Perez questioned why Ava continued to disrespect her. The NXT general manager revealed her next challenger, and it was a TNA Knockouts champion, Jordan Grace. Grace came out to reintroduce herself to the fans and state she was challenging the Prodigy to see which of them was the better leader of the women's division. I mean, holy shit. Like, Monty, before I go off on one here, this was unbelievable. This is like the forbidden door, I mean...
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this? Because I was doing something completely different for the first 5 minutes of this. So, the thing is, this episode, after it aired, was getting so much praise of just how great it was and how good Shawn Michaels did. And I think as much as I love the Sexy Red crossover and as much as I love all of that, I think this is the thing that really set it over the limit, because seeing her there not only had your mind just running for what could possibly be next, it was just something that really, really fits. It was something that I think we all wanted after the Royal Rumble, because not only did she do well and represent TNA well and represent herself well, it's just something that I think would not freshen up the product, because I think by and large the product has been really good this year in WWE. I just think that
for all the possibilities that can run through your brain when you see an active TNA Knockouts champion, pretty much the woman in TNA, and just one of the best in the world. I think we all can agree. Seeing her in this spot against somebody, the Prodigy, and Roxanne, and it was an awesome moment, and it was something that again just had my mind wondering for what could be possibly coming next. What could this lead to? Worlds collide, all types of things that could be down the pike if they chose to go that route. And so, yeah, I thought it was an excellent television and just an excellent moment, something that could, again, we talk about it all the time. We got so many great moments in NXT throughout their history of being a television show. And I think this is one of them moments that can go right in line with a lot of other moments we'll never forget, because it was just well done and she looked awesome. And this was just a very great moment. And it had me wonder, it's like, is the end game of this whole Ava Roxy thing, Ava returning to the ring or something? Because what is her beef with Roxy? What is her beef with Roxy? Low key. Because man, if I was Roxanne, I would be like, yo, are we on the same side or not? You feel like, what's going on? But this was great, though. It was great television.
And again, we spoke about kind of who would be on Perez's level after, like we said, Lyra and people like that getting called up. And again, one of the top 10 women in the world. Like, I've watched TNA past like 3 years now religiously, and this feels like a payoff. Like, yes, they had the kind of relationship with AEW, but having TNA chance on NXT TV is already better. Like, to see a show, and the way Grace is just, she looks like a champion. There's no doubt.
Oh, definitely.
Both of them are faced off as well. And apparently, if the rumours are true, Perez's reaction to Grace's appearance was one of genuine surprise as well, because she didn't want to be told who it was. I mean, if that was me, I would have gone, what? Like, Perez did well not to, like, oversell in a way.
Yeah. I agree. If I had no clue that she was back there, and you're right, I heard they kept her hidden and all of that. Yeah, man, if I had no clue about it, there's no way I'm not flipping out a little bit more. And I guess that just shows you the difference between the professionals and us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, unbelievable stuff. And like you said, with the Worlds Collide or something like that, we'll see how it goes, because at that time, and again, another win for Grace, and I might talk about it in a bit, but mention it now. Apparently she signed, she's still got TNA contract, but got paid 6 figures for 3 appearances for WWE. And again, it shows that, worthwhile talent, and her contract runs out at the end of the year. And again, it's something we can talk about later on, but there's no doubt, Jordan Grace can basically do what she wants at this moment in time, which is great,
100%.
Speaking of wrestlers, we weren't sure if they're gonna show up or not. Stevie Turner, she complained to Ava about Grace jumping the line for a title shot. Grace agreed to fight Turner next week. In a vignette, Eddie Thorpe declared he
gotta stop complaining.
Yeah, I know. Around Grace, talking about complaining, did not want to fight Lola Vice, and it showed in her discomfort throughout the match. Vice knocked her out with a spinning back fist. Shayna Baszler came out, and of course another brawl. I mean, the officials, I know we've talked about the car park, but man, the officials and security have been on it recently as well. Like, not saying every episode, but every episode. And a pre-tape video, Carly Bright talked about a cheerleading background. Izzy Dame mocked Natalia for talking up Bright until Dame and Carmen Petrovich started brawling. Who were all these women? I don't know. Charlie Dempsey told No Quarter Catch Crew he needed a Heritage Cup back to take control of the group to find success, because it's been so successful already. Tony D promised to beat No Quarter Catch Crew. Pissed off Lexis King had a chance to make up for his upset loss against Dante Chen, but lightning struck twice. Chen went 2-0 versus King, but Lexis did respond by violently attacking Chen, hitting him with a combination on the exposed floor. I mean, he lost, but that's a little bit better, because I kind of, as we're going to see, what they're trying to do, a little bit more of aggressive side.
Yeah, they're trying to establish something, and I do think it's about time. He's going to have to. I do think we've done enough establishing that he is the neighborhood douchebag now, or whatever you want to call it. We get it. anything scummy, Lexis King is gonna be involved. That's pretty much his gimmick, pretty much. But now it's time to, like you said, make it, put it in the ring. Like you said, establish that side, and also I do like trying to even give Dante a kind of a rebrand that he's not just a jobber. Now that's one thing about it. It's really tough to change that mind state, especially for people like us who've been watching. But I do think newcomers and all that, I do like Dante picking up some wins. We'll see if it matters in the end, though. Is it just something to advance Lexus, or is it something to try to advance both of them? We'll see.
Yeah, and also with Dante, sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful, because you don't want to kind of play the racist card, and we don't really see that much more. And I'm not even sure I know where he's from, So
Singapore, I think.
I
think Singapore.
We'll see what happens later if they reference it at all. In a
Right.
vignette, Josh Briggs promised to find himself Sean Spears, watched
Okay.
closely, and then said, I don't know where that was going for a second, yeah. Sean Spears was watching as well, and he said he would lead the youth to their answer. We also saw Spears talking to OTM and others. Yeah, that would help. North American title qualifier, Kalani Jordan versus Ren Sinclair. Jordan would not be denied, putting down Ren with the one-of-a-kind split-legged moonsault to win. Henley joined commentary for this match. Didn't really get to say much, but again,
He was there.
who knows? Wesley wanted his title back. Oba says the outcome remains the same. Femi, and I know we've talked about Joe Coffey, but Oba Femi looked like a giant next to Wesley.
Yeah.
There was just Oba Femi gets bigger every week. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And I also believe, too, this is something else. And I know he was injured, so maybe this was just him being able to be off TV and just working on himself. But for somebody who, again, we got to be honest, this man is still, I don't know, I think he's pretty much still, let's not count live events, in the single digits of appearances and matches, or at least matches at this point. And the promos, man, I just like his presence, and just he intimidating work. I know he's already intimidating, but man, does his promo give off the vibes perfectly for someone who's just so new. I just had to point that out, because every promo he's given, he's done a great job of keeping my attention, even when you would expect. That's the one weakness I always kind of expect from the big power guys, WWE builds. Like we talk about with Von Wagner, had a look, but as soon as he started speaking, you immediately could like tune out and just not care. But Oba keeps everything going. The intimidating factor is always there with him.
Without doubt. The eyes, and when he talks, I'm simultaneously getting, I'm scared and aroused. Not to make this awkward. Metaphor blamed Gallus for Noam Dar's injuries, but Joe and Mark would not take credit. Cameras found Ora Mensah laid out backstage like Dar weeks before. And then Trick Williams and Javon Evans with Sexy Red versus Gallus' Joe and Mark Coffey. And I'll tell you what, Javon has a really cool entrance graphic. I've moaned in the past about NXT, but whoever's doing that at the moment really, really works. Sexy Red made sure Gallus could not cheat to win, setting up Mark Coffey to walk right into the trick knee to deliver the win for the champion and Javon Evans. Lash Legend arrived afterwards to confront Trick alone. The lights went out, and all ego Ethan Page struck laying out Trick. Page took credit for laying out Noam Dar and Ora Mensah, and then raised the NXT Championship high. I mean, what a fucking night for NXT. Not only Jordan Grace, but ending it with all ego as well. I mean, Monty, man, NXT's back, baby.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this encapsulates, and not to even point out AEW or New Japan, any other promotion, but this episode, in my opinion, encapsulates what makes WWE what it is to me. And I think NXT just captured it. I think that's why they had so much attention and so much social media press and all of that going on at the time when this episode aired, because not only do you get the crossover and the star power, or just the attention from outside of the wrestling community from a Sexy Red, but you get the wrestling community excited because of Impact. You get the wrestling community excited because of All Ego, but you also have surprises, genuine surprises. And I think that's the thing that, like, for a long time watching WWE, whether it was NXT or anything, and I know some of that it may be dirt cheap, but even in that retrospect, it's still ways to keep things hidden, and I do love the fact that pretty much even when you think about Punk returning or whatever, they do a good job of really keeping things on the low for when they want to. Like certain things, all right, I guess it didn't matter, but so far, and I think that's the one thing that I really loved about this element. It's just that you just didn't. None of us seen it coming. I think we were wondering where are we going with this attack angle. Sean has done this already. That's why I kind of agree with Lash Legend's thought process about Trick doing it. Trick has been the victim, so why it didn't make sense for him to turn around and start doing it. But for All Ego to come in and kind of take credit and to do that to Trick and kind of shoehorn himself in the main event picture. We talked about Trick too, in a similar vein to Roxanne. Like who was going to be next, and who was going to be one of those names around Trick Williams in the world title picture now with Melo gone. And I think having a guy come in like Ethan Page, as soon as he said his contract was up, I remember sending you a message that maybe NXT with a question mark. Would he be willing to go? Would they be willing to accept him? And we got the results here. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, and I didn't know anything. I'm just saying. I thought it would be a good fit because I thought he had something in AEW, but it's just when you have that roster with so much going on and so much talent, a guy like Ethan Page who can talk and who can present himself a certain way, he can kind of get overlooked. And I think in NXT, when they need a guy like that in the main event to sell, more PLEs and possibly be in the spotlight, I'm interested to see what he does next because I do think Ethan Page is a good performer, whether he's one of your favorites or not.
Yeah, he's not a case of like Sean Spears. Again, like I said, it was a nice surprise, but Spears has had a history in NXT, and kind of his role's more of like, as we've seen, younger talent, maybe helping him out. And I think someone like, with Page, and again, it's not a knock on AEW or anything else like that, but NXT's a perfect place to kind of prove yourself, and if he does knock it out of the park, then he could be on the main roster. With a title run in NXT, it's good to take that chance. Like we said, Monty, with the amount of wrestling at the moment and the amount of wrestlers and the companies, check it out. If it doesn't work out, then there's always other opportunities as well. And this was said, NXT was truly back to kind of where we remembered it, of like holy shit moments with kind of everything going on as well. I will say as well with Gallus, I know we mock him a lot because of Little Joe Coffey, but again, I think Gallus's biggest flaw will be that they are a safe pair of hands to work with. A bit maybe like Sean Spears. Like with Gallus, they can help the young talent through. Will they make it to that kind of next level?
I think you're 100% right. There are guys that I believe have something there, but I also believe, I've heard people say it, American fans in particular, talk about how it's too bad that those guys aren't interesting at all. Like they're dull, is what I've heard said about them, and that's not necessarily always their fault, but you're 100% right. Once you kind of get locked into that, we know we can trust them in the ring, and they're doing, like you said, they're doing a good job helping talent along. You know what I'm saying? Once you get kind of locked into their role, it's like, where's the upward mobility? And I think Grizzled Young Vets had something, but they were kind of similar to where they kind of got locked into, a role of being like, we know we can trust GYV, whether we having them get Gacy over or help Gacy out, or whether we have them in the tag division just doing their thing with Imperium or whatever. So, like you said, even we can even talk about Giovanni and Ludwig. I know we see what Ludwig has done to up his game, and I thought Giovanni, I remember saying it vividly on here that Giovanni was better in the ring, or at least really good in the ring to me. He was shining in those tag matches, but like you said, Ludwig was better on the mic. Ludwig was better personality-wise. He had something character and look-wise that people can latch on to. And that's the guy that, like you said, that's having the upward mobility. Meanwhile, Giovanni drafted to SmackDown. Don't know when we'll see him again and what he'll be doing. So, like, you're 100% right. You don't want to get typecasted or just put in that spot of just, they're good hands, good guys, and that's it. Because, like you said, that nothing. Again, do we see Gallus possibly being main roster tag champions ever? NXT UK version of them, sure, but I don't know.
Maybe,
but,
like you said, connected to maybe a Sheamus or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a group. But again, I don't think either three.
Could Drew have a heel faction of Gallus? Just Drew and Gallus.
Yes, I think that that could
big guys just whooping people.
I don't know. We'll see what happens when it comes to that. It's interesting times. There's a June 4th flow to go home to Battleground. The show started with Ethan Page arriving to meet Ava, Mr. Stone, and several security guards to talk contract status. And then we got a recap of the crazy goings down last week. Sirens rang as Jordan Grace made her way to the ring with NXT NA top, which was just awesome, Monty. Brought, I don't say tears to my eyes, but it was just like, God damn, with that one bit of merch, showing what it means. The Prodigy interrupted Turner's entrance before joining commentary. Booker was Team Rocks. Big shock there. Stevie Turner tried to make a statement at the expense of Grace, but the TNA Knockouts World Champ was too powerful. The Juggernaut Driver ended it clean. Perez got the face of Grace afterwards, but got knocked down effortlessly for the Prodigy ducked out. Monty, I fucking love this, And it's great to know Stevie Turner is still around.
Right. Yeah, I thought you would get a kick out of seeing Stevie get some TV time. Unfortunately, that one of the first matches we've seen from her in a while is involving with the Juggernaut. But again, even Stevie, it's kind of like the last conversation. Has she already kind of gotten thrown into, because now Stevie is like a veteran as far as experience in the women's division. That's who you would trust to throw out there with a Juggernaut instead of maybe an Ariana Grace or some of the newer faces who still have to get more ring time in. But anyway, this is just awesome display, showcase who the Juggernaut is. I love that it was leading off, like you said, the NXT NA thing. Just like you said, not only does it shows how special this is, but just how special it is to her, and just how cool this is. Because again, it's just something that we all know this is unheard of. TNA for a long time did not exist in the WWE universe, so it's really cool. Even if it is because they're on the TKO banner or whatever reason they've decided to do it, it's still very cool that this is where we are in wrestling right now, that we can see the cool stuff like this. And, it just has that mind flowing. What could possibly be coming next when it comes to this relationship? But, this is cool. This is really, really good showcase of the Juggernaut for anybody who may have not seen her because they've only seen her in the Royal Rumble. They've only seen her in NXT. They don't watch TNA. So this is a cool way to see a little bit of her moveset and what you might see at Battleground. And then the pushing, again, the power advantage with Roxanne. Let's go ahead and establish that. We all know that that's going to be the main, story here. Can Roxanne battle that power? I loved it. This is good, man. This is good.
I love what Booker was saying as well. You go, oh yeah, the power's not too bad, and then watch it and go, hang on a minute. Like,
oh God, right?
I know Roxy's fast. And again, it's interesting with the championships on show. You could argue the TNA title looks better than the NXT Women's Championship. I know, but
I would say so. To be honest,
yeah, I was impressed.
The gold and white, yeah.
Yeah, look like old cardboard titles used to make at home or something like that. But it actually, well done TNA there. In the parking lot, Lash Legend broke up with Trick Williams to focus on her title aspirations. I suppose you can't have it all. Spears preached to Uriah Connors. Evans and three more unnamed wrestlers until Briggs confronted him about his teachings. The young OG was clearly not interested. Booker T tried to host the Women's North American title ladder match summit, but the combatants quickly took over. Jada Parker and Fallon Henley interrupted Me Chin. Kalani Geordie then explained why she needed this. So Aruka tried to take over the conversation, but Lash Legend shut her down. Fighting soon broke out that led to Mr. Stone announcing a 6-women tag match for later in the night. Monty, couple of things. This was a mess, but why the fuck is Mr. Stone doing Ava's job? How busy is she that she can't do it?
It's a really good point. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that until you pointed it out. I thought it was just, one of them situations where they just wanted to give the spot to somebody else or a commentator. But you're 100% right. Like, well, Ava didn't. I don't know. Maybe all of the impact negotiations.
I can't be bothered, Stone.
Yeah.
Go. I'm just going to sit in my office. But Ava,
She's too busy calling injury or whatever.
she rings, she rings, she goes, Dad, I know I'm a general manager, but can I get someone to actually do the general manager things?
Right. Right. Like, come on, Dad. Like, throw me a bone here, man.
Yeah, interesting times. Dempsey awkwardly attempted his best mob boss impression. I know I'm having to go over, but fuck me, Dempsey. You have not got your dad's comedy timing. I am sorry, but that was hard work. Go the other way, then, I suppose. Trying to motivate Kemp. I mean, Dempsey at the moment, he's good in the ring, I think would be the only positive.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I feel like this is gonna turn to the Gallus podcast,
Yeah,
but like this is again one of those things. Like, yes, he can stretch you out, but oh my goodness, he got to work on it, man. I think that's why he's here. I think that is exactly why he's in WWE and not necessarily in a AEW or in a New Japan, because they're just gonna send him out there and let him work, and that's fine and dandy, but he has to get the promo, or at least the presence, or like you said, the timing. He has to figure that out, because you're 100% right. His dad could stretch you out, but that was one of the things that made him special, was the fact that he was able to just have that time, and the facial expression Regal would make. He was great at it. So everything don't get passed down. Like we talked about,
yeah, sometimes the
Unfortunately,
apple does fall quite far from the tree.
yeah.
Thea Hale versus Jasmine Nix. Duke O'Reilly didn't want to come out, but still did. And lo and behold, Thea Hale loses again. Page refused to sign his contract anywhere but in the ring. Trick told Ava he would see all ego out there. Nathan Fraser and Axiom brawled with Anson and Gallows at the NXT merchandise trailer before the show started. Later, the NXT champions warned the OC they refused to lose at Battleground, even with injuries from a brawl. Uh-oh. Sean Spears attacked Josh Briggs with a steel chair backstage. Javon Evans stepped up to Spears and brawled with him into the ring. Young OG caught him with a back body drop off the announce table, then a springboard cutter in the ring. There's things Young OG does which are so impressive. We'll speak more about that in a minute. Heritage Cup, Tony D versus Damon Kemp. Tony D picked up the first fall with a forget about it in just 1 minute into round one. As the bell rang in round four, Damon Kemp ran into a spinebuster to seal the victory. Monty, do you remember when we used to have good Heritage Cup match? that legacy is dead. It's gone.
Yeah, and I hate to be that guy. I think in the past I've said that there's one thing I like about Tony D. It's his work. And literally give him a card, give him a title or a cup that is all about your work. And now we see a division that, like you said, something that me and you both genuinely enjoy, lose that luster immediately. It's tough. It's tough. I agree. These are honestly, they might have to get rid of it, man.
Yeah, I know.
It might not have that long of a lineage left if they don't get someone who's gonna take it as serious as Noam, or as serious as a lot of the NXT UK guys took it, because I don't know if it's gonna have legs with a lot of these newer talents.
Yeah, we've seen it before. I mean, look at Briggs and Jensen winning the NXT UK tag titles and then having to shut down the promotion. So, again, I'm not saying
Right.
NXT's going to be closed down, but again, the Heritage Cup will be gone forever. Jordan Grace spoke with Mi Chin, as well as Soa Ruka, Ariana Grace, and Tatum Paxi for the first time. But it's quite funny because Ariana Grace's dad is actually GM of Impact, which, again, in a weird way, this is, it's quite a small place. NXT
Right.
show footage for Baszler and Lola Vice ahead of their Battleground match, including comments from multiple UFC legends, prediction of the result. This was really, really good. Natalia versus a miserable-looking Izzy Dame. Cheer up, love. Might never happen, Natty gave her glasses to Booker as well, which sent Booker elsewhere. Dame threw Natalia around with confidence, but still got caught up for a roll-up. Natalia said, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Interesting. Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Wolfgang beat down Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont ahead of the expected tag match and promised to take the NXT North American Championship. Obafemi and Wesley confronted Gallus, but both men got beat down by the trio heavy hitters. The group made clear there will not be a traditional triple threat match either. And Monty, again, is this the first time Obafemi's been left laying? I know Ivor maybe pushed him once, but this is the first time he's been beaten down. And it's still shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, still shocking. I think he's been, like you said, I think that was pretty much, other than that bump, I think one little singular bump or whatever that I believe that he took, and then he got up immediately, I think, after it, that Ivar gave him. That's pretty much it. He's been very dominant. I mean, I think he gave a little bit to Dijak in that triple threat. But like you said, outside of the match, yeah, 100%.
Well, Vignette promised to return a Windy Chu next week, though seemed to be something wrong with her at the end of the video. Dante Chen attacked Lexis King during his interview for all the young athletes and security. It was Norman Smiley who broke them up. So I like that, the fact that you send the 6-year-old in to sort it out. But they said that King and Chen will settle the score once and for all. And then Lash legend Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan versus Saruka, Michin and Jada Parker. The action completely broke down off some solid tag work, and Saruka took advantage with a Soul Snatcher on Lash Legend to win. Again, entertaining stuff from all 6 involved. Eddie Thorpe promised he would return to action as soon in a promo package right before the final segment, which was All Ego Ethan Page living up to his name and demanding a better contract than anyone in NXT, and promised to replace all the stars who were taken in the WWE draft. Trick arrived to tell Ava to make sure Page signs on the dotted line and set up an NXT Championship match. All Ego signed, as did Ava, who really didn't want to, but Trick promised to make an example of Page for trying to jump the line in NXT and others who might consider coming from other companies. All I will say with this, Monty, maybe a bit like me. Trick, just take a couple of breaths, sometimes. But again, I thought this is a well-worked segment to kind of explain everything.
Yeah, I think it was a great way. I do love them trying to make it not necessary. I think we all knew that Ethan was a free agent, but I just love them kind of playing into the fact of it felt like invasion-ish. The way they trying to portray him, as if maybe they just watched the new WCW doc or something, and they got motivation to kind of play it like the outsiders. But I do love the fact that he's kind of holding NXT hostage for the title shot to kind of explain away how he's able to get this shot off basically one appearance. It was really, really, like you said, well done from that point of view. And I didn't mind it. I thought it was a great way to kind of explain away things, even if, like you said, you can question certain elements of it. But I didn't mind it at all. I thought this was, if you're going to explain why we're here and how we got here, other than the fact that you showed up and attacked the champ, I thought it was as believable as anything, I guess, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, AJ and Piper Niven both got title shots from attacking the champion. So that
literally
might be
the same
number
way.
Contendership. So
that's
we don't know, Monty. There might be a rule change. Do you know what I mean? Like, attack the champ, get a title match.
On AEW, you have to win those stupid eliminator matches. You got to beat the champ. And then in here, you just attack them. Simple.
Just attack them.
Simple.
Well, anyway, it's time. June 9th, and Battleground. We got kickoff first, which was Megan Morant and Sam Rosenberg in studio. The Good Brothers were interviewed, and they think they are too sweet, unlike the kickoff, which is not worth an hour. The main show, guest show, Sexy Red opened a show. Lucky she was there, because apparently she was arrested beforehand, Monty. I mean, this is just crazy. Apparently, she was arrested for disorderly conduct, even, at the Newark Liberty International Airport. Security footage showing her involved in a large brawl at the airport. After the video went public, she noted on social media, that wasn't me. Again, times have changed, because Sexy Red was still there, and fair play, they stuck with it.
Right, very convincing. I'm pretty sure she told Sean or whatever. If WWE had any idea, I'm pretty sure that's what she told him. Like, no, that wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh man, yeah. Again, this is one of those things about what I was trying to say earlier about Sexy Red. Like she's very, very legit when it comes to everything about her. So it's not really that's why at first when I saw it and I heard the announcement and I saw the tweet, so I kind of had an inkling that she would do something. But showing up, hosting, and doing multiple shows and all the backstage stuff she did with Sean and the interviews and the fun she seemed to have, and she talked about openly how much fun she had with NXT. I just wasn't really. I was surprised at first, and I think this is a kind of a little bit of why she's surprised because she's young, she's wild, she's out there, so she's having the time of her life, and sometimes these things happen, especially over here in America. Like the amount of time I got to tell you, a young rapper and got into a fight.
Look, can we just say though, if this was 25 years ago, Shawn Michaels would have gone missing. Shawn Michaels would have gone missing with her. So again,
yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point.
Talk about setting, because we don't talk about settings a lot, but I do watch UFC, so I do see the UFC Apex for the fight nights and stuff like that. But the crowd looked and sounded too small for the build-up to this show, and again, the acoustics, as we mentioned, kind of didn't really work closer to the ring as well. I mean, Monty, what were your thoughts on this? Because especially coming out of Stand and Deliver, now to get this, just seems a bit of a come down.
I think the partnership is probably the best element of it. It's just that they're showing like solidarity between brands when it comes to UFC and when it comes to the WWE TKO type of relationship. So I think that's kind of like what I kind of latched on to, because I knew when they announced this, because I knew the arena was smaller. Like I knew it sat less people. I know they used it during the pandemic, similar to how WWE used their performance center / setup. But they've run plenty of shows. It's more like you said. It sounded like it was less people because it was very small. You know what I mean? It sounded that way because it just was. There's no way around it. I'm with you. I think the Bill definitely deserved an actual arena, and I think they've already kind of showed they've been on this upward trend of putting butts in the seats in these bigger places. So it's kind of disappointing from that point of view. But I guess from a partnership or just from a look at us, we got a relationship with the UFC. We can do cool stuff like this. Yeah, I do think that this probably would have benefited more if they just did like maybe a week or a couple weeks of just actual TV from the place and did the pay-per-view somewhere else. But it is what it is. I do think the show at least end up still turning out good. But yeah, you're 100% right. The energy just was a little bit off when you think about how good NXT has been leading up.
Yeah, no, but you make an excellent point, because again, this felt like a little bit of a step down to kind of Full Sail, where it normally, the Performance Center. And again, why not have a 2-week special at UFC Apex and call it like, I don't know, the Fighting Fortnight or something like that. NXT do that all the time. So again, like you said, for a special event, especially with like, TNA and former AEW talent, maybe people watching for the first time, they would have gone, what? So interesting. Again, what we're going to talk about with this show as well is even with a company so hot, they will make missteps, and it's how you kind of change it and adapt to it, But we'll see as we go along. We start with the NXT Women's North American Championship ladder match. Kalani Jordan versus Lash Legend versus Fallon Henley versus Soruka versus Mia Yim versus Jada Parker. Booker was taken out by Parker. I did feel a bit sorry for Booker. I'm not going to lie, Monty, Jada also hit a cent on Jordan on the ladder. There was a 4-way sleeper, looked good. Everyone had to work together to eliminate Lash Legend. God damn you. Soul was snatching souls. But in a shocking result, Kalani Jordan ran up the ladder and retrieved the NXT North American Championship. Damn you, Lash. Why did he have to kill her? Monty, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, this was good fun. And this is also one of the reasons, and I don't care about it, but I saw people, I actually had someone come tell me about it. And I'm just like, I had to tell him. I know he's not as long of a wrestling fan as me, so he's just been consuming as much wrestling media as possible. And of course, he got wind of whatever Dave Meltzer said this match was, and I think Meltzer said like 2 stars. And I'm just like, we just in 2 different worlds. Like Meltzer has a lens to which the way he watched WWE matches, and I don't know, maybe it comes to years and years of just watching them. And he's jaded or whatever, but I didn't see two stars. I saw women going out there and absolutely working their tails off in, like we mentioned first, a smaller setting, and they were able to put on a really good, entertaining match and do some cool things that that you wouldn't really expect, because a lot of these girls haven't really been in this situation before. So I really came away entertained. It was a great moment. The way they killed Lash was just creative. I don't think I've ever seen that. Like, and then like, oh my god, the bump. I know the ladder was supposed to collapse. It had to have, because the way I know she put up on her Instagram or something that, yeah, I look good, but I am icing my hip, because you can she just like bounced right off of it. And it was a hell of a bump, man. Hell of a bump, man. And it was a spot fest. I'm not trying to say it was competitive, but I've seen Meltzer give spot fest with not much psychology way better ratings, and you can't tell me that was any better than watching the girls do and try all the stuff that they did in this match. I'm not saying it was perfect, but I just thought for the way they kind of kicked off takeovers in the past too. They had great North American ladder matches back in the day in NXT takeovers. This felt like a takeover, even though it was in that arena. And again, Jordan winning the title was unexpected, because we kind of talked about it beforehand, who we all kind of was thinking about. And she just didn't have much momentum. And I guess it makes sense, though, the more I thought about it. And even her promo, you mentioned it, she said she needed this. And it's I'm glad you pulled that line out, because it kind of showed you that the mind state going into it was that we're going to try to build her up using the championship. And it was a new belt, so I didn't mind it. And I thought this was good. Meechin was a good veteran, holding the ladder on those soul snatchers that Sol Ruker did. I noticed that. I just thought it was smart.
She tried to control the action, but again,
yeah, she was slowing everybody down. Calm down, take your time. You can kind of tell that she was keeping everybody up together, so she did great.
This is the thing, though. It did look like everyone's first ladder match, or
right.
The vast majority. But again, that's what you're going to get. My issue was kind of how quick it went as well. As in,
it flew by.
10 or 11 minutes, and I'm thinking maybe they could have done a little bit more. But again, Soul got her moment there. Lash was cost by the group, so there's two you've kind of protected in a way, and again made another star in Jordan. So out of 5, then, Monty, what would you give it?
I give it a 3 3/4. I thought it was really good. Again, it definitely. I think I think me and you kind of saying the same thing. They could have did more, and I think a little bit more time would have added drama. I think that's what they needed. They needed the drama, of it. They gave us the spots, but if you get a little bit more drama into it, it would have been even better. But and the surprise would have been even more shocking. But I still enjoyed it, man. This is good stuff. I gave it 3 3/4.
Yeah, no, I gave it 3 3/4 as well. Prediction. Well, this is a little bit controversial here, all right? And again, Monty, as you know, I asked for everybody's predictions beforehand. Gina and Jaxie didn't actually send their predictions until 24 hours afterwards. They assure me they didn't watch the event, and I believe them. But again, should this be tolerated,
It's how many? Hold on, it's only like 5 matches, right? Or how many matches?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
The card is too tight for me to ignore that thing. That for me personally, but I can understand it if you're willing to ignore it. I can consider it, but for me personally, these tight cards and where 1 or 2 decisions can change everything. I don't know how forgiving I can be about it, but it's up to you. If you trust it and you think it's fine and you just want to give it to them, I'm cool with that too. But
well, like I said, we'll let them this time, but you are not going to be happy about what happens. So just say that.
Of course.
Predictions: Monty went Soul, rest went Lash, so we all start on nothing. Ethan Page kept getting attacked by Aura Mensah. And again, it's like, Aura, there are some wrestlers, like we talk about Lyra, they go, Where did this fire come from, Aura? Like, you are going to get over if you. I mean, moreover, if you're not careful. You know? NXT Tag
It
Team
made me
Champion.
wonder who is the
Sorry, go on.
focus now. Like, is he the focus? Like, is he becoming the focus? I like it. I like it.
NXT Tag Team Championship, Nathan Fraser and Axiom versus the OC. Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, the OC hit the Magic Killer on Axiom, and Fraser barely made the save on the pinfall attempt with a springboard splash. Anderson hit a top rope TKO for a near fall on Axiom. They felt it could have finished the match, but Nathan Fraser and Axiom overcame the best Gallows and Anderson could throw at them. And with a final burst of energy, the Supersonic duo hit a Spanish Fly into a Phoenix Splash on Anderson to win. God damn it, Monty, I should listen to you. But they were injured going into this. Come on.
Yeah, I get that. It's just I thought it was way too soon. I think it's just like what you kind of when we kind of came into it when you were talking about it. You know, do you think that are they strong enough to lead? They have to prove it, and I think overcoming Gallows and Anderson, even if they are the veterans, I just don't see what that gains Axiom and Frazier in the long run right now. But I understood your thought process because now it's like, all right, why is Gallows and Anderson down here? Do you just need another Gallus or another? Like, you know, what's the difference between them and Gallus? You know, other than the fact that they've been on the main roster as far as their positioning in NXT. But as you'll see on the main roster, I guess they're back to following AJ. Like AJ didn't slap Carl in the face.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really
again,
know. Yeah, they just kind of pieced it up. Everybody's cool because they're all heels now. Whatever. But yeah, the Good Brothers. I don't know. I couldn't convince myself that they should beat Axiom in them. So that's why I went there. But this match though was fun. You know, it's a fun tag match. I do think you know the OC got a lot of offense in, and they kind of made me worry. Like you said, I know they were injured going into it, but you know you have to be careful when you're giving you're letting the team beat them down all, and then they still beat them. Like at the end, it's just like, oh. Well, that's crazy. You know, man, they took a beating for nothing, but hey, it was cool, and I love the finish. So yeah, I love Axiom and Frazier as a team, and we'll continue. We'll see how long they'll be able to carry this on, and will it be long at all? You know, to be honest.
Well, the thing is though, and you know my issue with the Good Brothers over the past few years, even in TNA, I just never really got them. But the thing is, if you can't get a good match out of Axiom and Nathan Fraser, just retire.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I think it showed Anderson still has got a little saying. Gallows, again,
he's fried, my brother.
Yeah, fair play for being employed for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, but
right.
It's weird though because even with Axiom, you know, with a mask, it's a great seller. And again, he's just got something that makes people get behind him. You know.
Yeah, man, he's really good. And like you mentioned, even through the mask, and I know a lot of people mentioned in the past of how difficult it can be sometimes. You know, how difficult it can be sometimes to have him omitting or whatever, or like getting that energy off to the crowd. But he's just really good at it, man. And Frazier, we all know he kind of has his path I think in my opinion, I don't know about you, he has his path kind of laid out for him. I think I've already heard people saying Frazier, Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 43 or something, or like 40. You know, I don't know. They already kind of
he's the male Lyra, like you said.
Right,
he's already got that.
Right. They already kind of have it, but Axiom should not be left behind. Should not be forgotten. Because again, I think me and you both, when they first announced the Axiom gimmick and all of that, I think we both kind of was like, yeah, man, I don't know what he's gonna do. Like, we kind of was worried for A-Kid, you know, because we already talked about charisma was a place where we know he felt he needed to work on. But like you said, for somebody that always seems to, whether it's just his work in the ring, and even now with some of the promos and some of the things he say, even through the mask, he's found a way to make it work, and I think that's what the great ones do, you know.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. Out of 5, then, what would you score it?
I think overall I give the match 3.5. It was good, but I think it was probably a little bit better than maybe a TV match.
Yeah, I'll give it 3 3/4. Predictions? Oh, for fuck's sake. Monty and Gina went for the champs. Jackson and I went OC, so Monty and Gina on 1 and Jackson James on 0. as we head to NXT Underground. Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice. Baszler missed a knee, landed on the announce table. Vice pounded, bashing the knee into the turnbuckle and then stretching it out, transitioning submissions into the ring. Baszler nearly got knocked out by Vice with a spinning back fist, but the Queen of Spades got frustrated and wiped out several wrestlers at ringside. As she came back in, Lola Vice caught her with a spinning back fist, and the referee called for it. Thoughts on this, Monty? My only thing is, before we go, why not have an MMA fight, or use the octagon if you're in the UFC Apex? Two former MMA talents. And again, I don't mind Underground, but it's weird when you're trying to, is this a real fight? Is it not? What's going on here? But I think issues aside, what are your thoughts?
That's always the problem with the Underground match, in my opinion. That other than I do think I think Dijak was it and Thorpe. They kind of transcended it and made it really, really good because they already were blurring the lines on whether or not this is just an angle, or is it really anger there? Is it really something going on there? And I think him and Dijak did a good job of just putting each other through hell and back in that match. And I think, like you said, blurring the lines. I think historically speaking, we go back. Other than like the Ken Shamrock in the pit, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not that.
Den.
Yeah, in the Lions Den. It's not too many. It's not too many examples I have of blurring those lines working the right way in wrestling. So it's always awkward. But I 100% agree. You had the opportunity, and honestly, I thought when they announced this, I thought they were going to do that. Just have the crowd or have people standing around the actual octagon cage. Well, maybe they didn't want to blur those lines too much. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe UFC didn't want them even trying something like that. But they have the experience. Lean even more into the MMA, in my opinion. But I do think it's a thing that you can't really simulate too. So I understand that argument that it's tough to simulate it without it turning into something real. They tried, and I think they did. They gave it a really good fight when you really think about it. Just like what they were able to do. But was this my favorite thing to see? I thought it was okay overall. I think, you know what I mean? It was sloppy. The ending, again, my biggest thing, and this is what I was talking about it. It was definitely better than Baszler and Ronda, the MMA rules match, and I think that you don't want to go there. You don't want to go to that match, but you also don't want to not be, you don't want to lose physicality, and you also don't want to, be too physical. So it's really difficult to grade or to even really do these matches. And when you have somebody like Lola who she has experience in MMA, but she's still figuring it out when it comes to professional wrestling. And I think that's the thing. Even though Shayna is good, you already putting Shayna in a tough spot in a match that Shayna isn't really even the best in. So I think that's the biggest thing with it. And also, like I said, whenever you put NXT next to something and we have Shayna, her lineage and who she is in the past comes up. This did not feel like she beat the Shayna Baszler that we saw in NXT. And Lola doesn't get the same rub I think you would get if this was black and gold Shayna, if you see what I'm trying to say.
I think you're right about that, And again, it's a journey about Lola not being there yet, but, with the look of the story here, will be champion by the end of the year. But again, like talking about Baszler, it's weird how they keep having this MMA connection with her, where in actual fact, the reason why she was so successful was that she's a really good wrestler. So if you use her as that, as opposed to kind of what people, this kind of, tap or snap and just actual wrestle, will find that. And that's how she had success in NXT originally, and hopefully will do in the future, But Shayna wasn't out. But, I mean, Lola looked good, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It did what it needed to do. So what would you score it?
Yeah, I think I give it 3 3/4. It was really good. Again, it's just one of those things, one of those matches that's always going to be kind of awkward in my opinion, in certain ways. But I think they did the best they could with the stipulation. Lola ended up looking good by getting the victory. So that's what you wanted. You want to put Lola over. And again, if you can just kind of ignore who I kind of look at Shayna as, I thought this was really good. It did its job.
Right, now, predictions. I went 3 3/4 as well. Predictions all Lola, apart from Jaxie. Like I said, based on the card, going to get you a point.
Loyalty.
Yeah, without doubt. So Jaxie, big fat 0. Hope you're listening. James on 1, Monty Gina on 2. Sexy Red had an after party, and Clarly Geordie was celebrating. Then the North American Championship, Obafemi versus Wesley versus Joe Coffey. And Gallus made the save for Joe Coffey time and time again throughout the night. Gallus took out Femi. Joe hit Glasgow send-off and Lee to nearly win, but the champion rose up to smash both Mark and Wolfgang on the outside. However, after Lee dived onto Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, Obafemi planted both challenges with power bombs to win the match with dominance. Monty, first off, thoughts on this matchup? There was one point where Obafemi pressed, I think, Wesley up out of camera shot, which again, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but what are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, man. Then when he caught him, oh my goodness, he caught him in that like a meteor position and just threw him through the mat. Like, this match is absolutely insane. And this is another one where I saw some people, some pundits. I don't know exactly who, but people were trying to say that, criticize it. And I'm just like, I don't know how you can look at this match and not just be like, no, this is incredible. And, even if it is mostly about Obafemi being incredible, in my opinion, I think this just, like, everybody had moments to shine. Wesley, definitely, for someone who was out for so long, he's still able to just captivate you with some of the things he's able to do in the ring. His selling is incredible, especially with a guy like Obafemi. It made me wonder. Honestly, it definitely made me wonder. It's like, I wonder if Wesley is like, this not the North American division I left. I don't remember. I don't remember being like this. When I left the North American title, it was not a guy like this roaming around. But yeah, man, this is incredible stuff. Obafemi, just, again, another match where, again, I think everybody looked good in moments, but he just shined, and it's just like, I genuinely believe that if we talk about it, we don't know the future of other people. If you don't look at Obafemi and see possibly the guy carrying Cody's belt, not Priest or the other world, he can carry that one too. But, like, he would probably be WWE champion, type of guy, down the line. You can just see it, because you just can't teach some of the things he's able to do, and the way he's just gotten it down. He's incredible, man. He's incredible. I haven't watched the Obafemi match yet, especially in these PLEs. I haven't seen one yet where I haven't came away saying this guy is absolutely incredible.
The thing is, though, as we talk about with Oba, barring injury, like Ahmed
Right,
Johnson
of course,
back
barring
in the day,
injury.
or
Right.
other wrestlers, or stupidity, like, maybe Mr.
Right.
Kennedy, or
Riddle
unfortunately
and stuff,
other stuff like this, he will definitely win everything in WWE. If this motherfucker has only had 20 matches and he's like this, he's going to be incredible. And again, the thing is when I was a boy, right, a young lad, and watching WF, and you heard kind of, stories of Goldberg, Obafemi is like a young Goldberg before the bad advice. Like, he does stuff that just excites. Feels like he can lift giants and just, throw everybody around. It's like Wesley flew higher than the title was suspended. Like, that's how strong Obafemi is, and like you said, just, we are so pleased. A bit like Bron Breakker now, in a weird way, watching him on Raw, of, like, we're seeing the progression of this guy who is going to be, like, the guy. There is no doubt. Wesley, as we spoke about, his story probably needs a little bit of a reconnect. Or maybe just to say, like, I'll go for the Heritage Cup,
Oh, he will save it. I was just thinking about that. We were talking about needing a guy to work and be able to just take that cup over and restore it to what it really means. A guy like him, or of course the Frasers and the Axiom, guys like that, if they get that cup, they can single-handedly turn into what I think we all believe it has the potential to be and what it has been. And but like you mentioned, I do agree. I think now it's time to refocus. Now it's time to do what are we trying to do? Is he gonna continue to chase a guy like Obafemi, or is he gonna? I don't see him, especially with his story and the injury, with Trick Williams being on top. I just don't see him getting to that level at the moment, or it being much of a convincing story or a beautiful story as it would be if we had like a heel champion right now. And maybe if Trick was to turn at some point, because we know he can actually play a little bit of both sides. But I don't know. The hype behind Trick is still as high as it's being. But I'm with you. It's time for us to see what's next for him. And I think you just called it. I think right now, logically, getting Tony D to go back heel or whatever, or just whatever they do, work him with a guy like Wesley and see if we can get Wesley back on in important type matches with the Heritage Cup. I think that's the perfect place for him right now.
And the thing with Zoba, I don't want to see him lose this championship. Like even if it's like a triple threat, not getting pinned. If he wins a NXT title and then kind of like vacates this, that's acceptable. But again,
Keith Lee,
we're just gonna
Keith Lee.
Yeah, exactly. Like man,
Keith
like,
Lee.
And again, this is not. Yeah, Obafemi's just fucking monster. Like anybody, and again, we can talk about this and people go, "Oh yeah, NXT." Just watch him, and then tell us if we're wrong.
Right.
Out of 5, then for this match, what would you score it?
I gave it 4.25. This is really, really good. This is one of the, by far at the time, the best match to me. It was just a spectacle. Moments from this match can be shared on the internet or wherever people share clips of matches. You can just share the clips of this beautiful match anywhere for the time being, because it was really, really fun. And it had so many great moments.
Yeah, without doubt. Predictions. You weren't Oba, apart from Jaxie. So it means Jaxie's on 0, James on 2, Gina and Monty on 3.
After reading Jaxie's predictions, I see why you didn't believe.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, after reading her, I was like, whoa. You did not Google anything,
I believe
man.
Jaxie. Gina, I'm not sure about. NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez versus Jordan Grace. Like we talk about, TNA versus NXT. And again, I don't know if I was expecting something maybe a little bit different, but it seemed like it was, how can I put this? Like Shawn Michaels versus Diesel from WrestleMania 11. And I'm not saying Rox was trying to outwork Grace, but it showed that she was trying to operate maybe on a different level. It didn't help Grace's earring got pulled out early, causing her to bleed. Both women's leaned into their strikes, landing hard in a way WWE matches rarely delivered. Grace countered Roxanne Perez time and time again, using her incredible strength. However, Tate and Paxley distracted Grace by trying to steal the TNA Knockouts Championship. Knockouts Champ laid out Paxley, and I'll call it a surprise appearance from TNA's Ash by Elegance, Elegance, a.k.a. Dana Brooke. Not that it matters really. She got no reaction, but the progeny caught Grace afterwards. No one cared. Vic was the only one. The progeny caught Grace afterwards with a pop rocks to win. Monty, I did tell you, but at least Grace looked like a star, and the TNA NXT mixed chance was what goes on in my heart.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I told you I was taking a risk. Because I even mentioned invasion. I wanted chaos. I can tell I made my predictions like not too long after just watching a show or something, because I wanted everything. I wanted just full-fledged. Let's lean into it. Next thing we announce is Worlds Collide, SummerSlam weekend or something. Anything. Like I was ready. I'm like I'm booking. So my logic definitely went out the window. But if you look at how this happened, it happened in a typical Monty chose the opposite result way. Because like, look at what happened. Of all people, I wanted to ask you, because I don't watch week to week. Is Dana challenging for the belt? Like, what is she doing? She's been popping up as far as I know. But has she done anything?
I kid you not, she's had 2 surgeries since being in Impact, right?
So she's hurt?
Well, no. I don't know if they're cosmetic, but she's wrestled 3 or 4 times.
Good point. Okay, gotcha.
But is kind of next in line to Jordan Grace. So I suppose at Slammiversary. But again, Why pick her? Like, I just don't get it with the amount
No,
of
I don't get it.
talent that
Yeah.
TNA have got.
I heard Gail King was there. I mean, Gail Kim was there. Just have Gail Kim
I just
come tug the belt away or something, or in it. Like, it would have been at least
Tasha
a better
Steelz.
stop.
If Tasha Steelz would have showed up,
Or another
I
Impact.
would have
Exactly,
lost
another
my shit
Impact
because
deal. Exactly.
you know. But
you have so many choices too.
it really was. And again, but again, Rox though. Speaking about her, because we know how good Grace is. Rox looks and gets better every week. The heel turn has helped her exponentially.
Yeah, and mind you, this is somebody I told you that I love the way she sold. I love the way she made you believe as a babyface. So to see that she's able to lean into this alter ego, I think because a lot of that frustration is legit. Because of the way her title reign ended, because of the way things happen, the way Tiffany, for example, or Lyra both kind of jumped that line. I think me and you both, if you're going back to the way things were going in NXT maybe last year or something, me and you both probably would not have picked Stratton or Lyra to debut on the main roster before Roxanne, if you see what I'm saying. So to have it to go this way, I think was absolutely incredible, and to see her, like you said, kind of evolve right before our eyes in that retrospect has been incredible to watch. And she really did a good job, and I love you pointing out that not that they were, like you said, maliciously trying to outwork each other, but I really do love you pointing out how they really wanted to showcase what's going on. Whether that means we wanted to show, whether you're Jordan and you want to showcase the knockouts, and me, I'm a champion and I'm one of the best in the world. This is why TNA has one of the best in the world, even if you don't watch it or you don't know much about it. You know what I mean? This is what we can do. And then you have the other element of, this is my territory. I'm NXT champion. I'm the best. I'm gonna show you that this is I can defend and I can hang. And this is not just development. We have some of the best in the world also. So I love that. I love the element of the match that made it that way. And I think it benefited from that energy. And I think that's why the match came off so physical and it worked too from that element. So yeah, man, this match is again really one of the best of the night. And definitely, probably as a matter of fact, I think it is my best match of the night. And just one of the matches I was looking forward to, even with the wrong prediction, because again, it was one of those situations that I knew I was taking a risk.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it, and I just think at the end of the day, I knew I was screwed when I saw Jordan was Meiko Satomura or something was announcing that she's gonna be wrestling in Japan soon, and I was like, yeah, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it now. But yeah.
This is the thing. Jordan Grace in the shop window now. If the Impact contract runs down, obviously WWE are interested in her, and she looks like a star. I mean, when you get holy shit with the ring instructions, you kind of know how big a match it's going to be, and this is awesome chance at the start. But as I said, Monty, WWE cannot help themselves. It's never worked with any wrestling promotion, including New Japan, with WCW or AEW or ECW or AWA or the Super Shows back in the day. But again, it was still good. Should it have been main event? Because again, after this, I was expecting something big to happen in the trick match.
Yeah, I can make the argument that 100%. I can make the argument that 100% it should have been the main event. It was a big match, two of the biggest stars, and where I think wrestling wise, it definitely deserved it, and I just think angle wise too, because as much as I love Ethan Page being a part of this, we have to be honest. We have to be honest about it. The angles and just the way we got there, because we got a little bit more time. We got a promo, we got a stare down, we got more of a connection, and I just think other than like the attack and the fact that we can blame Ethan Page for all those attacks, the angle just is lacking. And again, also what it means, because I don't think this is the end of the Impact relationship either. And I think that's another reason why I'm like, maybe, just maybe, this match would have deserved a spotlight, and it also would have made you even more nervous for your
Well,
for
this is the
your
thing. Yeah, at that point, I would have
for
been
your
like, "Oh
prediction.
shit!" But we should say as well, because NXT after this, especially the next episode, are calling the women's division the best division in wrestling, and it just worries me that they hadn't beat Grace just to make that point, if you know what I mean. But we should say
Yeah.
Tatum Paxley. I'm sure it's changed, Monty, but you know, old head. Tatum Paxley
No,
did
you're right.
challenge Jordan Grace for the Knockouts title at Against All Odds. I've not watched it, but from what I heard, Tatum showed out, and we've been impressed with her recently as well. So out of 5 then, Monty, for this one, what would you score it?
Yeah, again, I think this is 4.5. This was really, really good. I think both ladies shined. It was excellent, and again, I don't think we can complain. Again, when you think about, you're 100% right. Like the past of WWE, they've come a long way, and maybe I'm moving too fast when it comes to the relationship thing. Like I'm moving too fast, and I'm hoping that they can just go full right into it. But at the end of the day, WWE is WWE. They want to be the premier. They want to be the focus. And but I don't think they did not make Jordan Grace look like just somebody
No.
for NXT to overcome. Or for Roxanne to overcome, and I think that's another thing I appreciate. They didn't make her look stupid or anything. They protected her. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to play this card again, whether it's in the NXT main roster or whatever, Jordan Grace is somebody that the WWE fans and people who know of WWE from the Royal Rumble and from this, I think will appreciate it. Like you mentioned, whether she ends up signing there eventually or not.
Predictions all went rocks apart from Monty, so it means Jaxie gets her first point. Monty and James on 3, Gina on 4. Gallus beat the shit out of Wesley ahead of our main event, which was the NXT Championship.
Yay.
Trick Williams versus All Ego Ethan Page. All Ego appeared with his first full entrance. The smoke and spotlight was effective, but the music sounded half finished. Trick's entrance delivered the loudest response of the night by a wide margin. This started as hot as a brawl, with both men trading mounted punches. Page finally got back momentum with a power slam through the announce table. He followed up with Ego's edge in the ring for a near fall, but when Page's best shot could not put his rival away, he got incensed by the referee. The distraction allowed Trick to recover and hit the Trick knee to win. Monty, whoop that Trick.
Yeah, man, this is good stuff, really good stuff. Especially for two guys who I'm sure haven't had much time to develop a chemistry and work together. With so I think they did really good. It wasn't that long. It was good. It wasn't really special or anything. But I really love just the introduction of how Ethan Page takes an opponent down. I thought it was really cool for what it was, and it depended on what you came into this expecting. I wasn't really expecting a 30-minute classic. I know that's not really Trick's bag, and I know that's not. I don't even think that really is something that Ethan would excel in right now. Maybe with the right guy, but I think with more heat and more of a story down the line, it could be even better. But this was really good for a first time. It was a great debut, in my opinion, for Ethan Page. It makes him feel like a big deal. He feels like someone who is in the main event scene, and like I mentioned, they need people who are credible in that position. I expect him to only get built up even further, and I thought it was cool. I didn't mind it. Definitely paled in comparison to the women, and I think it wouldn't have been a shot to Trick. Honestly, you could have, in my opinion, placed the ladder match maybe a little bit later, the ladder match maybe in the middle, and then do this match first, and then do the women last. That's just maybe the way I
Yeah.
would have put it together, to kind of protect everybody involved. Because I do think maybe if you had just watched what the ladies did, you felt the intensity around that, and then you watch this. This may have felt like a TV match probably in comparison. But I do think overall, if you watch what happened and how it played out, it was still good. It wasn't overly complicated, but it was still a good match.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, like I said, the placement of this was a bit odd. Trick's great, you know, and again, it's weird how we spoke about Gallus and everybody else, and Trick seems to have the opposite problem where it's when the bell rings and what he does in between the ropes as opposed to everything else. But again, someone like Page is going to help. And again, I think this fight was structured perfectly for him, starting with a brawl. Do you know what I mean? Going around the arena and doing that all kind of stuff. I think Trick works better when his back is against the wall, and I think we have seen 100%. That with Mello and Leah as well. So it's just like finding that right opponent to push him. And again, but again, I moaned last week, or when was it? When we did the AEW show about Swerve not main eventing and Trick is. So sometimes I guess you can't.
Sometimes, you take it. Right. Because if he goes first, now people are automatically saying you put your biggest star on first or whatever. So yeah, you can't win. And I also believe too, you're 100% right. The thing is with Trick is in WWE in that company, you rather have Trick's problem than the other guys, the Gallus or some of these other guys' problems. You know what I mean? Just in WWE, you rather have the character, the crowd behind you, or invested in everything you do and say, and then figuring out your formula in the ring, than rather having we could care less what you do or say, but man, you're solid in the ring. We can count on you. You know what I mean? You'd rather be him than Ridge Holland.
Yeah, well, I think might have a T-shirt printed. Rather be Trick than Ridge, but again, out of 5 for this, it wasn't as bad as maybe first feared.
Right? No. I think it was solid. I give it a solid 4. It was a good match, or a 3 3/4 to be fair to in that range. Really good stuff though. Like again, nothing bad at all happened. I think the placement kind of make it worse. And I think if you came into this expecting them to Will Ospreay it up or something, then you didn't know what the hell you was watching.
That's what I say. It's been in shock. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 as well. Predictions: we all went Trick, so it means final scores: Jaxie 2, James Monty 4, Gina 5. So yes, Gina, the non-expert, wins. Monty, I knew this would be controversial, but we'll let her off this time.
Yeah, we'll let off the hook, and I trust the integrity of everything that we do, because also, but if I could be so petty, Forbidden Door, I will turn in my results 24 hours late on purpose. I'm just letting you know. I did not watch the show though, even though I love New Japan. I will not watch it. No, I'm just playing.
So bonus league, it means Jaxie's on 8, James is on 13, Gina moves to 14, 4 behind Monty on 18. So Monty, you've still got a little bit of a gap there.
That made me a little bit more comfortable going with Jordan too. I got cocky with that lead because I was like, I can take a chance.
You can take a chance. That's what I'm saying. So it'll be interesting. Overall, so match of the night for both of us was, of course, Grace versus Rox. MVP of the night, Monty.
Yeah, man, it's hard to look at this card, in my opinion, and just not just look at Roxanne and what they were able to do, and not give them their points. And Kalani definitely deserved it too. She wasn't really even on our radar, so for someone who wasn't on our radar to become a new champion, possibly have a division that she can lead and set a tone for when it comes to match quality and whatever, I think that's going to be beautiful for her. So really, the ladies shine as they tend to shine in NXT in general. So I'm giving it to Jordan Grace and Roxanne for just making history and just doing something incredible. Even if we don't get anything else from this relationship, I still thought this was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, whatever happens, we'll always have Battleground. But again, I think you're right. I think the Jordans represented. So I'm going to give it to Kalani Jordan, first ever Women's North American Champion. We'll talk in 5 years' time, Monty, and go, none of these 6 women are employed in NXT or WWE anymore. It'll be a great story, but there's always a first. So score out of 8 then, Monty, because again, I think we've seen a lot better takeovers or PLEs. So I don't know what your thoughts on this. So
you said score out of 8, or
to score
you mean
out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8. Sorry, I've already shot my load.
Okay, so you just
I've
said it.
just
Okay,
given
that's
away
what
what
I
I've said. Yes.
I was like, did you just tell me your score?
I'm shocked. Jackson and Gina
I was
don't normally
confused for a
listen.
second.
So I'm impressed. I'm impressed by that. Yes, I'm giving it 8. What are you going to score?
Yeah, I think overall I give it 8 too. I think that's a really strong marker where you probably would leave it at. It was a good, solid project. PLE. One of those situations where it's like you mentioned, could this have been one of those TV specials or something? Maybe, but I do think the ladder match and just the moment of having the Impact Women's Champion and all of that on the card makes this one to remember. If anything, you want to go back for this card for. You got to go back to watch the ladder match and watch the women's title match. Just 100% in my opinion. I don't think though, and of course watching Obafemi's Dominance. But other than that, yeah, man, this is really really strong card overall. Entertaining stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt. So last NXT then, June 11th. Let's finish this. The show started with NXT Women's North America champ Kalani Jordan. She talked up the challenges she overcome to keep hold of the gold. Jada Parker interrupted only to get attacked by Mi Chin to start their match early. Gallows and Anderson came out late to watch the HBIC's back, stopping Parker from using a steel chair and setting her up to get rolled up for free. And then backstage, Parker told Bronco and Price that she would deal with Mi Chin herself. Ava told Mi Chin she would be first challenger for Jordan's Women North American Championship. Monty, not a bad way to start NXT. You fall out with probably the biggest result of the night, and already Jordan's got an ex-challenger.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to just continue things on. Like I mentioned, if it's anything that this year and just everything we've seen, I know you got like the running joke of who is this next woman and who is this, because you never know at this point when a new woman is going to debut in the NXT division. But I think this is a great way to do it. Come right out there, get right into it, and establish a line behind Kalani Jordan for her new title. I'm excited to see what we get from this, because again, we talk about the North American title leaning. If it's one belt in wrestling, in my opinion, that you can just go down the line and just talk about not only the quality of the champions, but just their run so far. The North American title is one of the best. So I would love to see the women's one kind of get on the right foot also.
Yeah, without a doubt. We get Gallus versus Wesley, New Catch Republic. I mean, I love them. You know how much I love Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, but the Rascals made the most sense here, and maybe still will at some point. Wesley rolled right into all the best for the bells to give Joe Coffey the pinfall. But what I will say as well about Gallus is Wolfie looks in great shape. Out of all of them, he's impressed me the most at the moment.
You think Wolfie's going to turn on the coffees or something?
He looks great, though. Like, superstar. Like, you know.
Yeah, no, he's the guy. I think if you're going off just looks, if anyone was to break out, and I've always been impressed with him. Even when he was at a bigger size, he was able to do certain things. So I can only imagine what he's able to do now. You know, get that rock rub. You know, maybe he's lifting in the gym with the rock. Maybe I don't know.
I just see Wolfie and Rock, clanging and banging. It's just like,
it's hilarious.
It's images you never thought you'd see. Thea Hale cut a fantastic fiery promo on everyone in Chase U for not trusting Ridge Holland. But there we go. We got some development, Monty. Thea Hale saying, enough shit. Ridge is part of the group. Done deal now.
You know it's bad with I think even the characters in the storyline. It's like, all right, can we move on with this? Can we either break up or start getting back along? Because oh my goodness, yeah. But yeah, that was a great way of doing it. Kind of leaning into her inner Chase. So yeah, no, it was cool. It was a cool moment. But yeah, I can't wait to see what is the end goal here. And by the way, does this end with Duke finally turning on him or something? Like, what's gonna happen?
But
we've been waiting on that for years.
Thea mentioned it, yeah, and I was like, at least she mentioned it, and that was a comment I liked. And the other one was Andre Chase going, "Where'd you get that type of language from?" Like
right, right.
In the locker room, Idris Anofi and Mallet Blade had a bad feeling ahead of Reese's match, but she didn't see it.
I bet.
Brindley Reese faced Wendy Chu. Wendy Chu came out with a dark look on her face, and Reese soon became terrified when she realised she was facing a different opponent. Wendy Chu put her to sleep. Chu's character, I mean, we've kind of have seen this, before. I think it's got a possibility to work. And at least if it doesn't, she can just wake up and go back to normal.
Right. She can go from being very, very tired to the point. Yeah. She's very tired now. That's what it is. She went from sleepy to she's exhausted now. She's sick of everything. And I love it. I love it. And also, if you know, it kind of merges her former character with the sleepy character. So I do kind of like that element of it, that she's kind of going spooky. And I can't wait to see what happens. We don't have enough of that in the women's division, in my opinion. Of course, we've had the Undertakers, and of course, we got Uncle Howdy's story playing out. We've had Alexa kind of lead into it, but I don't mind seeing where this can lead. And we talk about, again, like we said, Roxanne, we need fresh faces, and Wendy is now, again, it's funny how things change, because now she is one of those people who's more tenured in NXT. She's a veteran. So it's gonna be kind of cool to see how this plays out for her. Maybe Kalani's in trouble, maybe Roxanne is in trouble. We'll see.
Well, and I like delusional, so if Brindley Reese can kind of turn it up a couple of notches, then I'll probably be a fan of her. We see NXT highlighting Saruka's weekend journey, ending with her promising she would continue her championship chase. Speaking of champions, Roxanne Perez arrived late to the show, refused to tell Byron Saxton or Mr. Stone anything about her plans for tonight. Hope Mr. Stone learns how to button a fucking shirt. How difficult is that? Anyway, Cody Rhodes headed to the ring to warn AJ Styles about what was coming at Clash at the Castle on Saturday. This had nothing to do with them beating AEW Dynamite in the ratings. It was an important announcement. Trick Williams then joined the American Nightmare to ask him for advice of being champion. Rhodes advised him to keep his eyes open. Good advice. He then announced that Trick's next challenger would be determined in a 25-man battle royal next week, including names from other locker rooms. Trick invited Rose to the 4th of July cookout, and the American Nightmare accepted. I don't know why Cody is doing what Mr. Stone is doing, what Ava should be doing, but again, not going to ask. Trick and Cody in the same ring, and from any other locker rooms, Monty, should we get our hopes up?
Probably not. I don't think it's stopping anybody from getting their hopes up. But yeah, we probably shouldn't. Like, imagine you getting your hopes up, and it's just like Apollo Crews and Andrade, and they met other brands locker room. But yeah, no, 100%. This is definitely one of those things that you have to watch play out. I think again is one of those situations where I heard everyone talking about the possibilities. And after what happened at Battleground, I will not get my head big again about what's going to possibly happen. I'm just going to let it play out. Let it play out,
see
bro.
What happens. NXT highlighted the 2024 NIL class in the crowd in the night. We'll see if anybody becomes stars. In a funny throwback, Rose left his undashing mask to JC James backstage. And then Ethan Page, Sean Spears, and Alexis King interrupted Rhodes, leading him to live in an awkward... you guys seem to be in a good place. But it was more about doing that kind of Spider-Man gif, really, wasn't it? And again, I'm not saying WWE... Do you know what I mean? When we think they take one step forward, a couple of steps forward, maybe one step back,
100%. I honestly believe it would have been better off if all of them just walked and seen each other at the same time, looked and said nothing and just walked off.
Yeah.
Like the segment would have been better, because then it, like you said, then the Spider-Man picture that came from this situation ended up being kind of more of a nod, or just at least, in my opinion, more entertaining to see than the segment overall, and kind of just forcing them to have something to do with each other, because we all know where they come from, and it was good. I'm pretty sure it popped the internet or whatever, and it was nice. But to be honest, it was Cody's entire involvement in this show was unnecessary. But we love Cody, and so I'm not going to complain. And how many times have we had the actual WWE champion be on NXT, so I can't really complain that much. But
Rope.
it's definitely
Imagine Roman.
imagine Bloodline Roman Reigns. Exactly.
Josh Briggs. No, but again, like you said, the one that popped the most was Lexis King. Because he just was like, just calm down, Lexis. All right, you're going to get told off. You got a Singapore Cane match coming up, which he did. And Dante Chen, who is from Singapore. So a Singapore Cane match,
All right.
and he's from Singapore, you see. It makes sense, He attacked Lexis King during his entrance. However,
so it's not
King
a kendo
found...
stick all of a sudden.
It's not kendo,
right?
it's Singapore Cane.
Gotcha.
And it's not Cane from Singapore. I Googled it, all right? It's not like Blue Cane or anything like that. King found a better opening the match using his cane to set up the coronation to win. But, Monty, I think even the Sandman might have thought this was a little bit overkill with the Singapore canes.
Oh, man. Shout out to Sandman, wherever he is in the world.
Yeah, it's a bit much, I would say. But we'll see what happens when it comes to that. Be interesting to know. Hang on a minute. I think we just lost Monty. Let me get back. But before we finish here as well. There we go. We lost you for a second, didn't we? We panicked.
Yes, we did. I think my internet is telling me that this show is too long, I guess. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it just dropped out of nowhere and I was talking to nothing.
Look, no one's going to notice. NXT updates are always a little bit of fun, so we're going to get it. But, talking about Overkill Sandman. Eddie Thorpe then made his return beating Tavian Heights. Brooke Jensen grabbed Vic. Well, it worked for Gacy, I suppose. Charlie Dempsey told Miles Bourne to go get Heights after the match, considering Adam to no quarter catch through. Sean Spears versus Javon Evans. Spears showed all his veteran experience in wearing down Javon Evans. The chairman jucked the young OG outside, sent him to the corner of the announce table. He followed up with C4 to win. I mean, not as rare as a Dijak win yet, but Spears getting a victory. But young OG, as I mentioned earlier, can do stuff, and even when he's bumping around, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I seen some people on the internet not too happy about him losing here, but he's young. Like you said, he's young. I think a story is being told, obviously with this veteranship and just Sean Spears. They're trying to establish him. It would have been better if they wouldn't have had him lose on his re-debut, but his big re-debut match, he was losing. But, I don't mind it. I thought this was, like you said, good stuff, and you're 100% right. Javon is special. He's one of those guys that is really easy for me to root for, and he's a guy that he's working on getting that trick element. I think the ring stuff makes everybody say, wow, but I think once he finally gets confident promo-wise, even though I don't mind anything he's done and said so far. But I just think once they get more confident in him as a character, he's going to be off to the races. Because, like you said, he's special. I can already see the potential. It's just right there, and I can't wait to see what else he does next. And even how this turns out, his relationship with Sean Spears, because I'm pretty sure they're both probably going to end up in that battle royal, and they'll probably run into each other.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then we get Stevie Turner giving Ava full warning that the Prodigy was going to call her out. The GM then took a mysterious call. And then Roxanne Perez came out for the State of Women's Division address. And believe it or not, she called out Ava. But as you mentioned earlier, Monty, Ava really has got a problem with Rox. And I don't know what it is yet. But multiple wrestlers arrived to challenge the Prodigy. JC Jane with Jasmine Nix, Lash Legend, Jakira Jackson, Lola Vice. A brawl broke out, ended with Prez and Vice standing tall. That was clearly side-eyeing the NXT Women's Championship. Now, after what we saw at Battleground, for me, maybe this was a little bit of a letdown. But again, it is the NXT Women's Division, so, And again, as we mentioned, Lola Vice with a big win and Rox down the road.
Yeah, 100%. I think we can definitely see that. I was kind of surprised, in my opinion, of how much of a tandem her and Roxanne seemed to be in the whole scuffle that broke out too. But again, I think obviously as far as popularity goes, those two are at the top. But I'm expecting big things, and I'm very happy that Lash is involved because I think Lash is definitely a future champion. I don't even know if they realize, maybe when she gets more of the in-ring stuff down too, NXT can realize just how dominant of a champion they could possibly have with a person like Lash. And the same thing can be said. We'll, JC's been there long enough, so I guess we'll have to see in that retrospect when it comes to JC if she can finally take that next step and break through. But I'm with you. Looking at the women's division where it is now, it's very ironic and funny that they're saying it's the best women's division in the world right now, because we can compare this to the women's division from not too long ago, and it's definitely taking a step down. And of course, some of that is to be expected with the draft. And some of the newer faces are going to have to prove themselves that they belong and they can develop. And I think Roxanne right now is the perfect person to be leading it. And I think they should hold off. I don't necessarily think Lola's ready either. I wouldn't mind Lola going out to Kalani first, to be honest, at some point. But I understand trying to give her this spot because of her popularity. But I don't know about you. Maybe you see something I don't see. But I don't necessarily think Lola is quite there yet either. When it comes to character work, I think in the ring she's solid, and she can get better. But as far as like believability, no one is on Roxanne level, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to get the rest of these ladies up to that level.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be important next couple of updates, like I said, to build the women's division. They're talking about it kind of being the best. Just because it's most populated doesn't make it the best. But
Yeah.
again, interactions, there's so much TNA talent that can come and improve it as well, or even people on the main roster.
Yeah,
Look at
bring
Michin.
Masha Slamovich in or something.
Yeah, it was Slamovich would be fucking awesome. But even someone like Michin, who we've seen in NXT recently, get the opportunity to help the younger talent out. Our next NXT will be Heatwave, and we'll have obviously NXT's leading up to that. We'll probably do what we did last time out, where we do a next update. But again, you know what I mean. We always work out. We caught up now with everything, Monty. So we were from Stand and Deliver, and now we're looking towards Heatwave. So what I'll ask you with this one, as I always do, what are your thoughts on NXT this month? Obviously, we've had Battleground, and as we spoke about, a lot of work, but with TNA involved as well, the future does look bright.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you have to be just optimistic. The public opinion around NXT also is just so much better too. I think everyone, unless they're not watching, unless they're just not watching, I don't think you can look at NXT and tell me it's not in a better place than where it's been, especially in some mentioned. And we mentioned it's definitely the most populated women's division, but I've been begging for AEW to do it, because AEW actually has the talent, in my opinion, that could benefit from it. Like, more companies, in my opinion, should choose to use some of their television to focus on as much of the women's division as Sean has chosen to do. Giving them a mid card title, giving them having them to refocus on the world title. I know the tag division is gone, but it makes sense now to have, because we had multi-layered non-title storylines for so long so far in the women's division, that I think 100% that NXT benefits from it. And I think that's where they stand out the most, in my opinion. Yes, we need to work on the tag division and flesh it out more. Yes, even the world title picture probably could be fleshed out, and we need to figure out where we're going next with Trick Williams, and what is the next major story beat for that belt. Or are we going to keep just using Trick, and switching opponents, or are we going to keep an angle to get, because Trick Williams, in my opinion, is still associated with Carmelo and Dragunov. So I can't wait to see who's next and can he finally get another rival or anything to latch himself onto, because I think that's what they need. I think that's what the tag division needs. And the North American title with Obafemi is in good hands. I think you can just keep that going. But other than that, NXT, in my opinion, overall is in a really good space, and I can't wait to see what they decide to do next.
Yeah, and it's weird how we go around in cycles, because the North American title was not the strongest kind of booked or positioned, on the show. And now that's the one that you don't want to touch, like you talk about. Obafemi there is the one at the moment where you're going, that's bang right.
Right.
And again, we're not saying Trick and Rocks. And if you look at the champions, they've got excellent champions at the moment. But it's just about the number contendership, which we will find out as we go to Heatwave. Like I said, the next update, we'll have 25-man Battle Royal and find out who Rocks and Perez will face. But that is it for today. We've done it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Journal. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Or, Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
They find me at my Monty Pod, like you said, on Twitter. That's how you can keep up with me and anything I'm doing going forward. And, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not doing anything fresh at the moment, but if I do, that's where you'll find out about it.
Yeah, to be fair, I am riding you into the ground at the moment. You know, like we talk about not only catching up with NXT as we've done too. I made you do a double a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've had AEW shows. We've got New Japan next week. Clash in a couple of weeks. Forbidden Door, Money in the Bank. So, yeah, I do appreciate all your time on it.
I blame you just as much as I blame just anyone who's setting the schedules up, because as much as I would like to complain to you about it, every time I turn around, it's another wrestling event. So
Yeah.
I can't complain too much, you know. But yeah,
we'll have emails that we do too many.
Please let me know so I can let them down, and we can just stop doing it for a month, and then tell me about the mountains of emails about, wow, where'd you go?
As we talked about earlier, sometimes you just can't win. The WNR also on Facebook and Instagram across all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube Podcast where we let clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube. Do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, like I said, me and Monty, we're going to do New Japan. And don't worry, Monty, I'm looking at editing it at the moment because there's about 4 months worth of stuff. But we'll just hit the big notes. I just want to hear Monty moan about Moxley, really. That's kind of the main thing.
Yeah. Don't worry, I understand. And trust me, with everything that goes on in New Japan, you're going to have to edit it. Because you think these shows are long. Oh, my goodness.
My word, yeah. But until then, I've been James Reynolds and was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, again, thank you for joining me. And like I said, can you believe we're actually up to date with NXT at this moment in time?
Yeah, man, it's an amazing journey to get here, I must say. Because, you know, it's time consuming and as crazy as it always can be. But it's always fun at the end of the day. And that's why I say no matter how messy the schedule get, I always try to find time for it because I always have a good time. And if I wasn't having a good time, I would have definitely told you to fuck off by now.
Well, on that note, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.